Welcome back to MC Disc Vlogs. This is Vlogmas Day 8. This is the Q&A for 2025. Maddie's going to ask me a set number of questions, and I'll do my best to answer them.
To get good at playing, how often should you go out and play?
I'd say it varies from person to person. I try to get out at least once a week. At least like in the summer, I tried to play league nights on Thursday nights at Northridge, and then sometimes casual rounds on the weekends or after work if there's time, and then that kind of thing.
Is wind or rain factor when people play?
Definitely, for sure, both of them. You definitely don't want to have both of them at the same time, but wind can be bad or good depending on the situation. Like sometimes tailwinds could be good because it makes the disc go farther. Headwinds usually aren't that great, or crosswinds. You just got to play to the wind, and then the rain usually just makes it a lot harder because it's harder to grip most plastics, especially the premium plastics like this. They get really slippery in the rain. So if you know it's gonna rain, you want to put like more baseline plastic or stuff that you know has a better grip when it gets slick.
When do you choose hyzer, anhyzer, or flat release?
It kind of depends on the shape of the hole. For me, being left-handed, if something the basket finishes off to the right, I'll probably go with the hyzer. If it finishes off to the left, I'll either go sidearm or anhyzer, depending on like the angles of the trees and stuff like that. And then if it's a relatively straight hole, I'll just try to throw it as flat and straight as possible.
Tips for improving distance versus accuracy.
Um, I don't know. It kind of depends. If you're just going for more accuracy, I'd just say you want to make sure your mechanics are good. Um, Try to go straight through on a pullback. Make sure you're coming through the what they call the power pocket. You kind of want to do that with the distance too, but you could with the distance thing, you're not worried as much about side to side variation. With the accuracy one, you want to make sure you release it at a certain point. Um, or with distance, it doesn't matter as much. Um, but you want to make sure your timing's just right with the accuracy. With distance, you're just trying to throw it as far as possible, really.
What's the biggest difference different plastics make for you?
Um, Part of that is like, yeah, if it rains out, the baseline plastics are good, and the more premium plastics get slippery. Um, Sometimes it's just the look of it. Certain plastics have a better visibility than other ones. And glow plastic's better when it gets dark because you could charge them, and uh, then you'll be able to see them better when it's dark. That kind of thing. It's all just like preference of what you like and like grip levels. Sometimes I'll carry the same disc in different plastics just for different grips, or sometimes it'll be different flights because even the same disc in a different plastic could have a different stability.
How do you decide on disc weight for different conditions?
Um, I don't know. With most of the stuff I have in my bag, I mostly have max weight discs or anything in the 170 to 75 range mostly. It's better in the wind usually. The lighter stuff is good if you want more like hyzer flip kind of shots where you start off on hyzer and it flips to flat, that kind of thing in the woods. Um, they're easier to get down on rollers, and they're good for tailwinds. The lighter discs are. Sometimes they're easier to throw if you're not feeling like you have as much power. The lighter discs are good. Um, but then they don't handle the wind as well, like headwinds, crosswinds, that kind of thing. Yeah, mainly the wind, and then sometimes you could just feel the difference in it. I just feel like the stuff with the heavier weight, like this one's 175. This is a max weight disc. I just like the feel of the heavier plastic though. The lighter stuff just feels different in the hand.
How do you approach a heavily wooded versus an open course?
Um, I might switch up the stuff I have in my bag based on what kind of course it is. If it's a more wooded one, I'll probably go down to more slower disc like fairway drivers, slower distance drivers, maybe more mids and putters. And then if it's a more open course, I'll probably keep a lot of far the far flying distance drivers like this in there. Um, Ones that could go pretty far, and then you can just throw wherever you want, really. That kind of thing.
What is the biggest mental hurdle during a tournament round?
For me, it's usually putting, because then I feel like if it's a casual round, I don't really need to think about it. But whenever it comes to like leagues or tournament situations, I feel like I'm sitting there thinking about it more, and then I just get more in my head and try to get better about that over the past couple of years. But it's one of those things that it's just a mental block. You could say like 50% of the game is a mental game. Definitely in tournaments, it's harder to stay focused. Sometimes casual rounds, it's just kind of having fun, but tournaments are more serious and feel like you have to score better. And sometimes you get a couple bogeys, and you feel like it's just hard to get back to like even par. And then you get stressed out, that kind of thing. So it's I don't know. There's different mental hurdles to go through. I try to stay as positive as possible, but sometimes when the keep getting bogeys and stuff, it gets hard.
What is your biggest disc golf pet peeve,
Um,
if you have one?
I don't know. Maybe people just taking too long to throw. Sometimes I feel like I go pretty quick with my at least my regular throws. Maybe with my putting, I take a little bit longer. So I can see that being a problem for other people with my putting. But um, slow play, I guess, would be one, or weather. But that's something you can't really control. With the weather not being good. But I don't know. It just kind of depends on the situation.
What advice would you give your beginner self or someone starting now?
Um, I'd say the main piece of advice would be to start off with the slower discs, like the putters and mid ranges. A lot of people start off with the high speed distance drivers like this, and um, they're not very forgiving for beginning players. They'll a lot of times the tendency is to throw up, and then they just kind of fade out. Um, but with the putters and mid ranges, especially the lighter discs too, you want to throw lighter. When you first start, they're easier to control and they're more forgiving. And then once you get more distance, it's better to go up in speed. Once you get the distance down, and could throw straight with the mids and putters and find out what the angles you could throw and with the slower disc first, and then work your way up to the faster disc.
What was the first disc you ever bought?
Um, it was actually like a three-piece starter set. It was a um, aviar, shark, and leopard. They were all 150 grams. They came in like a three-pack. Um, that's what I started with, and then I think like a week later, I got like a DX Destroyer and a Pro Boss, like the typical beginner thing. Uh, the first three discs would be a good starter set, but the next two discs wasn't a good idea to go up to like a 12 and a 13 speed right off the bat. So that's a typical beginner thing to do, though. You see something that looks like it'll go far and fast, but if you don't have the proper arm speed, it's not gonna fly like you want it to.
What's an underrated disc or plastic blend that more people should try?
Um, Kind of depends on the brand you like. Because a lot of stuff is similar between certain brands. Like it just kind of depends on like the feel you like. Neutron's a good one, but ESP is similar in Discraft. Star Plastic similar for Nova. I think Fusion for Dynamic. Those ones are nice feeling plastics. And those ones are all opaque. Like I guess the more transparent one would be like Z for Discraft, Proton for MVP, Champion Plastic, Nova, Lucid for the Trilogy ones. Any of those are good. I mean, the baseline plastics are good too, but they're just not as durable and they'll beat in a lot quicker. Um, but anything's good. It just kind of depends on what you like.
What's your go-to grip for backhands versus forehands?
Um, I used to kind of throw everything with the power grip like that. Um, I still kind of do with like the 12, 13, 14 speeds, the really fast discs like this one. Um, but with like I'd say anything 11 speed and under, I go more of a fan grip now, which is almost like a just spread out the four fingers on the bottom. I think my putting grip's kind of like that too, but the index finger will kind of hang on the edge. And then well, at least for backhands, and then sidearm. Some people do like more of a power grip like that, but I just go the normal two finger stack grip. I might play around with different grips next year. Maybe try the one where the one finger's on the rim. Really, the main power from the sidearm I think comes from the one finger. It's just the second finger kind of adds stability to it. So some people throw a one finger sidearm and have decent success with that. Um, and then for thumbers, I just kind of throw it like that. I think that's like the normal grip for thumbers. There's a for grenades like the over the top shot. Some people throw it like this with the two fingers on either side. Um, I basically throw it like I say like the opposite way of a thumber, like with the thumb on the inside rim and then go over the top. That's for good for getting over like pine trees or something, and then um, that kind of throw in particular is good for hitting the ground and not getting a lot of ground play. If you just want to over the top with something and then kind of sit down immediately, that's the grenade shot's kind of good for that.
So explain what a nose angle is and how do you control your nose angle on different shots?
Um, the nose pretty much is the front edge of the disc. You definitely on most shots, unless you're trying to go over the top of something, you want to keep it flat or almost slightly down. Um, and then you'll have better success on it going farther in um, just getting more distance. Because if it get it too nose up, the wind is going to get under and the air is just going to get under the disc and it's going to make it stall out up in the air and then just fade out early. And that's what a lot of beginners struggle with. So you want to try to get it flat, a flat release to get the nose angle almost flat or a little nose down, and then come through with a good pull, and then you should have a pretty good throw.
What's the hardest part of getting your game to a high level?
I think with anything, it's a repetition. The more you play, the better you get. You also want to have focused play too, though. You just don't want to. If you want to get better at the game, you don't want to just play casually and not care about like what you're doing. You want to focus on the areas where you struggle and try to get better at those, and then just make it a focused kind of practice instead of just not really caring about what you're doing with it. If you want to get better, you just got to work in the areas you need to and try to improve.
What are the pros and cons of playing alone versus in a group, and what do you prefer?
Um, I mean, for leagues and tournaments and stuff, the group play is nice. But I mean, if I'm just playing a casual around, a lot of the times I'll just be playing solo. And it's good to like just focus on your own shots and stay more focused. I think on a solo round than with one or two other people. Maybe you're interacting more and you're not as focused on your throws, that kind of thing. So maybe if you're trying to like improve at the game, solo rounds, where get good practice and focus on your shots. That's good for that. But
You think there's less pressure when you play by yourself?
probably because you just focused on your own thing and you're just playing your own game and trying to get better.
What would be a good disc to throw if you're a young child, like ages 6 to 12?
Um, there's a there is a newer brand. I think it's called like Dino Disc or something that has some 120 gram stuff. But also Discraft has come out with some really good lightweight stuff recently. I think it's the lightweight jawbreaker discs that are like 120 grams. Those ones are super good for kids or people that have smaller arms or don't have as much arm speed. Um, I think I want to say like the Scorch, Cicada, and maybe a Buzz and like a Challenger. I think there's like a starter pack. I think it's a Challenger, a Buzz, and a Cicada or something like that. That'd be a really good starter set to start off with. Because they're all like 120 grams and they're super easy to throw. That kind of thing. Lightweight plastic or the stuff with smaller rims is good.
How can I increase my distance?
Just working on the mechanics, focusing on coming through on a straight line, focusing on the timing of it, and like knowing when to the release point of it, and having like the nose angle down, that kind of thing. Um, Throwing it hard, but getting the nose angle right is important. In release angle, I always say one of the main things is to throw at shoulder level or below. You don't want to release above shoulder level because then it does that thing where it just stalls up in the air and fades out. Um, and then you want to come through close. You don't want to do the rounding thing, as they say. You want to come through on a straight line right across the chest and just straight and flat as possible.
What is your favorite thing about disc golf?
Um, for me, it's just fun to get out and throw and see the different courses. A lot of them are in really nice scenic places. Get out into nature and see the different places. There's a lot of really cool places that have courses now, especially Michigan's got like a few hundred courses. So it's fun to just see new places and just get out to throw in general and see the flight of the disc. That's a really cool thing, I think.
Last but not least, what is your least favorite thing about disc golf, if you have anything?
Um, I guess it'd be the challenge of it. Um, Sometimes it seems like it shouldn't be all that hard, especially like putting that kind of thing. But there's a lot of challenge to it, and it could be a hard game sometimes. But that's part of the fun of it too, is to try to get better and just learn that kind of thing. So it could be hard, but it's fun a lot of the times.
So that is all I have for today. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. Or if there's anything that you want us to touch base on more, please let us know. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys tomorrow.